right, Lee Williams, also known as the gun writer, was recently hired as the Second Amendment Foundation's investigative journalism project.
Ooh.
Joe's going to interview Lee next.
All right, but first, do you ever wish cleaning your gun was easier?
Yes.
I know you do. Clean, lube, and protect your gun with Seal One. Seal One CLP Plus is a natural, non-toxic, and environmentally friendly. You can clean your guns easier and faster. You'll also smell a whole lot better. Hey, one and done with Seal One. Ask for it by name at your local gun shop or get some on their website at seal1.com. That's seal1, the number one.com. All right, we got Lee Williams on the line. Joe, he is all yours.
We do. So hopefully we have award-winning journalist Lee Williams, so known as the gun writer on his Substack column. And then Lee is also the chief editor of the Second Amendment Foundation's Investigative Journalism Project. So, Lee, are you there with us?
I am, Joe. How are you?
I'm great, Lee, and thank you so much for joining us here. And I want to get something out of the way really early on here because this thing is going to be hanging over me like an axe through the whole interview if I don't ask it now. And I'll apologize ahead of time for having to ask this question, but I got to get it out of the way. So I read somewhere that you're a big fan of the movie Red Dawn.
Oh,
is that true?
Okay, I'm leaving.
I mean, it's a good movie. I don't know how big of a fan I am.
You better be as big as Michael, because say one thing bad about it, you're done.
I think it's probably the best documentary ever made.
See, there you go.
I'll tell you this. I'll say this. The Russian is really good. I speak Russian. The Army taught it to me 100 years ago. So, it's interesting. It's an interesting movie.
So I had to ask that because I picked that up somewhere, and I sit across the desk here from like the biggest Red Dawn groupie in the country.
God.
So I wanted to get that out of the way before it popped up in the middle of the interview somewhere.
I will say this. There is only one Red Dawn movie.
That's
there you go.
All right, so we have one more question just to see if we can win his heart. Do you like the spaghetti at Denny's?
Don't answer
You cut
that.
out. Do I like what?
The spaghetti
That's the right answer.
at Denny's.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Wait, have you ever had it?
No.
Well, then you're just
Okay.
squall. You're just. But this guy, that's another one he'll talk to you about.
All right, that's enough of that. Let's talk about guns.
All right, let's
All
talk
right.
about guns. He's got it for 2 segments.
So Lee, just tell us a little bit about Lee Williams, just for the one or two people that may not have heard of you. What's your background?
Well, typical entry into journalism. I was a policeman for 10 years. Before that, I was in the Army, and then I got into journalism. Did 20 years as a card-carrying member of the mainstream media, 17 of which as an investigative reporter with the title. A lot of people will say, oh, I do investigative reporting. Yeah, sure. And then my last 3 years as editor, I had the only pro-gun blog sponsored by a daily newspaper in the country. And it was great. And then my newspaper chain got purchased by Gannett. And once they found out they had a pro-gun editor who wrote a pro-gun blog, I and the blog were long gone. We also had one of my colleagues had one on UFOs that had an international following. They killed that one too. So after this happened, my good friend Mark Walters at Armed American Radio calls me up and he said, Alan Gottlieb is going to give you a call. Take the call. So Mr. Gottlieb called and said, do you want to be our investigative reporter at the Second Amendment Foundation? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he said, welcome to the family.
Fantastic.
And it's been fun ever since, man. It's just been the best time I've ever had doing anything. And I've done a few things over the years, but this is working for him. I mean, he is the smartest guy in guns.
Wow.
And Second Amendment Foundation, obviously I have a dog in the fight, but let me just say this. They use the money very well, and I think they have active litigation right now in 35 states, and some of those states have multiple lawsuits. It's difficult to track.
So, yeah, talk a little bit about that, too, because the Second Amendment Foundation, you're the chief editor of their, investigative journalism project. So what exactly is that one, or what's going on with that?
Well, SAF is cut into two parts, basically. They have they're promoting or dedicated to promoting a better understanding about our constitutional heritage. of privately owning and possessing firearms. And they have educational programs, and I am one of those. And then they have legal action programs. And they'll throw a suit at somebody at the drop of a hat. And they use those suits educationally too. And let me just say this: after Bruen, I would strongly predict a huge upturn in litigation, because some of these blue states, like you guys who live behind the wire, behind enemy lines, are finding out, that their reaction to Bruen has been poor. So we're going to have to show them the error of their ways, and the best way to do that is to cost them some money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I was going to ask you what your thoughts on that were, too, about the oppressive states, places like California, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and the likely reaction to that SCOTUS opinion.
Well, Bruen is so huge, I personally don't understand the whole context of it. It's bigger than I'd hoped it would be, and I think it's going to be bigger, and it'll turn out being bigger than anybody had ever predicted. But unfortunately, you've got your blue states that you think they would try and get in line with what is constitutional and what is not without litigation. But, you've got Newsom running for president, and you've got Hochul running for election in New York. So these people are going to scream, and they're going to have to be brought to justice by us and by other pro-gun organizations. Unfortunately, that means that we're going to have to pay for that. And why? And this always pisses me off. Why does this always have to be our money? Okay, yeah, we're going to get some of it back. Second Amendment Foundation has a good track record of wins, a huge track record of wins, and we'll get attorney's fees. But then that'll cost the taxpayers money. So if you're living in these blue states, vote them out. I almost used the word that the FCC kind of frowns upon.
Yeah, and then that's just you'd have them on your back.
Yeah.
But because I guess our governor was down in your state campaigning the other day. I heard he's got some ads running in Florida. So
he's trying to lure Floridians to California for the freedom, which is the dumbest thing I have ever heard a politician do.
Oh,
keep listening to him.
I was going to say, keep listening. You'll hear a lot of that. The other thing too is you're such a it's so much fun reading your stuff, because I've read your articles on Ammo Land. I subscribe to your Substack column there, and you were writing. There was a really interesting one just the other day, I think actually just yesterday, about the deal that's going on with UPS. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Idiots.
Okay, enough said.
We kind of told the story in reverse order because we didn't know all the facts at the time, but we were right. UPS, FedEx, the U.S. Postal Service, and a whole bunch of truck and train carriers got a really scary letter from 5 senators. And I bet if you didn't know who they were, you could probably pick the anti-gun senators. I bet you can get 3 of the 5. I'm just going to hit them real quick. Markey out of Massachusetts, Blumenthal and Murphy out of Connecticut, Booker out of New Jersey, and then, of course, your Dianne Feinstein. And they started the letter to all these carriers with this ominous warning, quote, "We are concerned that lax shipping security measures are contributing to the epidemic of gun violence in this country by allowing criminals to use stolen firearms to commit crimes." And that went out to 28 carriers. And it chilled them. That has a chilling effect on these small businesses. So, of course, UPS reacts completely. They swing wide, and they completely overreacted. They start sending letters to gun dealers who sell gun parts used in the making of homemade guns, which are completely legal here and in other free states. And one guy I spoke to, great guy. He runs, unfortunately, his business is called Ghost Guns, but he makes uppers, he makes lowers, he makes OEM parts, he makes rails. They told him that UPS is terminating his account because he, quote, may be violating applicable laws concerning the shipment of ghost guns to unauthorized locations. He's not. These guys are smart. They're not going to sell, ghost gun parts to California or New York or Massachusetts. And he just had ATF did an audit 2 weeks before he got the letter. But the scary thing was UPS told him that anything in the pipeline, they're going to seize and destroy. And he had just shipped out more than 30 grand worth of products.
And have you heard anything from them, or have you touched back with that vendor just to see, did they really do that? I mean, did they really destroy his products or seize his products?
We don't know yet. It's too early to tell, but we'll probably know next week. Well, then, of course, I'm trying to get some comment out of UPS, and they're all hunkered down in the bunker, and they're not returning phone calls. They told Vice News, the lefty Vice News, that they had made new rules. So we published a story on Saturday with a link to their new shipping rules. So they cancel these guys' contracts, they confiscate their property probably, and then they come out with a list of new rules. I mean, that's backwards, man. I mean, they canceled the accounts of gun dealers who may have violated the rules that weren't even made public yet for them to follow, if you get my drift.
So they did all that based on their secret rules then?
Yes. You had to know what the secret rules were, or you probably should have had a business not named Ghost Anything. But, yeah, typical overreaction. Go woke and go broke, UPS. Everybody I know is already talking about FedEx, USPS, and other carriers.
They're probably going to follow suit.
Yeah.
So
it's just sad.
Yeah, road trip.
What's that other one?
Yeah.
What's the yellow one? Are they good?
Ooh.
DHL.
DHL.
Yeah, are they good on guns?
As drivers
I
have
think they got
legs.
a letter too. They got a letter.
Oh
too.
yeah, even every mom and pop delivery service got a letter.
So who is Lee? Do you know anybody that's resisted that? Did any of those carriers come out and say no? Well, hang on. Well, hang on.
Oh, you don't want to be woke.
You don't want to miss the answer for that.
Yeah, that's
in our
right.
next segment.
Boy, very good, Joe. Stay tuned. Well, a lot of companies are so frustrated with their websites. They look old. It's out of date. They're not getting any response. So guess what? Sage Tree gets it. They've been doing this since 2005, and Sage Tree have been helping many, many companies get up and running with their websites. Now they look great. They work great. And guess what? The leads are coming in. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you'll be proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes your phones ring. Getting started is super easy. 866-728-9100. That's 866-728-9100. And trust me, they'll fix your website today.
Did you say frustrated, by the way?
Yes, frustrated? Is that a bad word?
Frustrated.
Oh, it's frustrated.
It's not frustrated.
Yes,
it's
it is.
Frustrated.
No,
There's an R in there.
You want me to show you on my
The R isn't silent.
You want me to show you on my phone?
No.
It's frustrated.
All right. Sorry. Let's talk about guns.
We have an award-winning journalist on here. Could
And
probably
he
answer
should
that
know,
question.
is it frustrated or frustrated?
I'll go with the R, brother.
There you go.
Man. Okay.
Outnumbered.
I stand corrected.
Okay, so that big question, Lee, you had an answer for us before we were so rudely interrupted by
I was
that break
frustrated.
music.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I'll say this. I think it's too soon for the companies to take an official position to this yet. UPS just obviously buckled under. I would hope that some of these other firms would see that, this is a constitutional right. And hopefully they will understand that and push back against these senators, because that's where it's all coming from. These and I mean, Diane, is she even? Can she even speak? I heard she's got more cognitive issues than Joe.
Yeah, so we were just talking.
That's what
about
I heard
off
too.
air.
Yeah. It's funny we all guess that person. How would that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Well, it's unfortunate, I think, that a group of senators would take that kind of action, I think, against, private businesses, just, to make that political point or political agenda item like that. It's, I think it's disappointing to hear that they would do that. And that's, we have that kind of issue with, I think, businesses, all across the country, really. It's not just that one industry or anything like that. But I don't know how common, in your experience, is that a common thing for senators to do something like that?
I haven't seen this type of threat before, because I've seen a lot of senatorial letters, tons of them, but I've never seen a group of five flunkies hold an entire group of businesses accountable for murders, which is basically what they said. I mean, they said they weren't. They didn't equivocate. We are concerned that lax shipping security measures are contributing to the epidemic of gun violence in this country. So they're accusing the shipping industry of being complicit in murders. And I mean, that's off the hook. That's way beyond something that these folks could know. I mean, Cory Booker, come on, Chris Murphy, Richard Blumenthal, these guys have been anti-gun their entire careers, and Diane, obviously.
I guessed them all right.
Yeah.
So let me get, you were talking about at the very beginning of the interview. You talked about investigative journalism or journalists, or people that claim to be investigative journalists, and there was kind of there was kind of a tone, I guess. But I'm just curious, that made me wonder, what is an investigative journalist? Like what does that mean? How in your opinion, how do you qualify as a legit investigative journalist?
That's a hell of a question.
Yeah, right? That's why I get paid the big bucks around here.
The number one criteria is that you come up with your own stories. You see a problem, you see a group of people who are affected by the problem, and you approach it from that angle. Unfortunately, in the mainstream media today, everything is data. They'll pay thousands of dollars for some database, and then they'll data mine it and see if they can come up with a problem that in the data. And that's not investigative reporting. That's computer-assisted reporting. Real investigative reporting, and we do that at Second Amendment Foundation, is boots on the ground, find somebody who's been hurt, or a business that's been hurt, or a group of people that have been hurt, usually by local government, state government, or nowadays federal government, and you out the bad guys, man. I mean, I've been very fortunate to have been part of some really good stories, and it's all pretty much the same technique. You pick somebody up off the ground by the neck, and you tell your readers, this is a bad man, and here's why. And change happens. And change. I did a series in Delaware on the public housing community and how they were forbidden to own firearms. And if they were caught with a firearm in public housing, they'd be booted. They'd be evicted. And one woman we met had a little .25, little piece of crap gun, because she was a seamstress. She did alterations to make ends meet. And she had 2 expensive sewing machines that she knew would be ripped off from her home and sold for pawn somewhere for drug money. So that's why she kept a pistol. Well, after the first couple of stories, NRA swooped in, and I interviewed a bunch of Wayne, and back then Chris Cox was running ILA. And I said, Chris, what would you tell these people in Delaware? And he said, you tell them help's on the way. And they swooped in and sued and cost NRA a lot of their money. Right now, these residents and these public housing communities are terrible. I mean, drug deals right outside your front door. But at least these people now can own firearms to protect and defend their homes.
So that's
investigative reporting.
That's awesome. That's a great answer. When you look across the the media today, who do you like? Is there anybody out there that you're really particularly impressed with? Does there anybody out there stand out?
Now they're doing, especially on TV, they're doing all reaction stories. They're reacting and doing stories on what people say, what they say on The View, what somebody else said, blah, 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 or what somebody said on Twitter. That's not reporting then. And it's certainly about as far from investigative reporting as you can get. I am a print guy. I think the best investigative reporting is always done by newspapers, has always been done by newspapers. But unfortunately, you've got your biggest newspapers now are so violently leftist. I mean, Washington Post, New York Times, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of Pulitzer Prizes over the years. But right now, they're not going to take on a story unless it's politically correct for them to take on that story.
Do you like?
They're not going to go after Joe.
No. Do you like? Is his name Matt Lee? He just popped into my head. That from the AP. He covers the White House.
Yeah, AP is a wire service, and the big problem with AP, while they might break a story, it's just not really good writing. AP writes for their members, and that's a really inside baseball journalism thing, but they're not bad.
There's the one guy in particular. Pretty sure his name is Matt Lee. Are you familiar with that guy?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay. All right. I was just curious. It's pretty interesting. Journalism has changed so much over the last 20, 30 years. It seems like it's changed so much in the last 5 years. I don't know.
There's no more gray hair, man. I mean, all of the newspapers got rid of their long-standing, long-term, knowledgeable reporters. I don't care what chain it is. Gannett, the average age there's got to be about 14 in the newsroom. They've lost the agent experience because it's expensive, and they've replaced them with youth. And my former paper here in Sarasota, Florida, is now inundated with young kids, and they're just not capable of going out and holding someone accountable, or going out and getting in somebody's face and, telling truth to power. That comes with experience. That's why you're seeing declines in readership across the board, newspaper. And fortunately, that's why people are turning to other sources for the news. Like my Substack account or my other personal account, armedamericannews.org. We're seeing a huge uptick in traffic because, especially my collaboration with Mark Walters from Armed American Radio's Armed American News, and we separate our opinion from the news, because most gun owners, they don't need to be told how to think. They just want the news. So that's what we give them. And if we throw an opinion in there, it's in something clearly marked opinion.
Fantastic, man. I tell you, how do people follow you around again?
thegunwriter.substack.org or armedamericannews.org. Substack is .com. armedamericannews is .org.
Very good.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.